Self-awareness. When we're talking about self-awareness, we're talking about identifying who you are as an individual. Who are you inside? It's identifying what your values are. What are your beliefs? How do you view life? What are your strengths and weaknesses? What's your purpose? What's your meaning? What's your identity? As a small cog in a massive set of cogs called life, where do we fit within this? Where do I fit within this? What's my identity as an individual? And ultimately, what do I want to leave behind? What do I want people to know me for and as? So if we kind of look at this, and let's look at values first. Values is about living what's important in life. So when I was in the military, my values, the values of the British Army were sea drills. So that's courage, discipline, respect, integrity, loyalty, and selfless commitment. Okay, so I lived, slept, breathed, fought those values, and they became very much a part of me and who I am. I then took them across from the military and implemented them into, in fact, both my businesses. And I truly believe that having such values is one of the main reasons why they've been so successful, or at least successful. Maybe not so successful, but at least they've been successful because of the values. So, who are you as an individual, and what is truly important to you? Making it about family and having a well-balanced, that could be a value for you. It's not about materialistic things. It's not about something you can buy, but you can certainly seek to achieve and live by the values which are really important to you, because they make up who you are as a person. So we kind of have that, and then we all have our own perceptions in life, don't we? We all view life our own way, and in a certain way. It's very individual to us. And it's really important to understand that, because when it comes to maybe conflict resolution, when it maybe comes to speaking to a difficult client, or somebody who for some reason is being very defensive, or they've got the backup, and when they're talking to you, or even listening to somebody, and you're there for them because they're struggling with something, they're really stressed, or they're struggling mentally, and so you want to be a good friend, and you offer yourselves as a listening ear. And we talk about being non-judgmental. One of the easiest ways to not be judgmental when you're listening to somebody is to try and understand it from their point of view. All right, because it's not about your values and how you see life. It's about them and how they see life. And you might not agree with it. You could be totally against what they're saying. In that moment, there and then, it's not the time to say anything. And if you're going to challenge them, well, there's no point you saying that you're going to be there for them, because it's not the time. And we look at conflict resolutions, and usually within conflict resolutions, it comes down to effective communication. Yeah, not just communication, effective communication, and owning your part of the communication. If you're the instigator in the communication, so if I start a conversation and it's very much like this, how do I expect people to react when I'm like that? Yeah, so it comes down to me, and I have to accept responsibility for that, take responsibility of that, take ownership of that, and how whatever communication comes back to me when I've been like this at somebody, that's on me. It's not on them, because I instigated it. All right, and so how we perceive life, and understanding that we all perceive life differently, and we all have our own expectations. Who's gone to a movie? and you've had an expectation of the movie, you watch the movie, you come out going, oh geez, that was rubbish, man. You're really disappointed, that feeling of disappointment. It's because you built your expectations up too much. Now, put it in a business sense. If you're going to go into a networking meeting, you've paid out, or you've paid to watch someone speak, you know, or you've paid to go to a retreat, and then afterwards it totally wasn't what you thought it was going to be. You didn't get as much value from it, or whatever. You've got to look at your expectations, and was it that you don't feel like you got out of it what you should have done because your expectations were up here, and there was no way they were ever going to be met. So understanding our own expectations, our expectations of people, of situations, of life, our expectations of ourselves. You know, we usually have such high expectations of ourselves, and we put so much pressure on us that actually we're inviting problems in, and we're inviting self-doubt, and then we lose self-confidence. And then our level of self-worth decreases, and you know, you're on a slippery slope from then. So there's a lot to be said of being self-aware of who you are as an individual. And let's look at depression. Now, I'm not a great one for stats, however, they do have their place. All right. So statistically, when you look at depression, roughly 70 to 75% of people with depression, they can trace it back to the reasons, what caused it in the first place. And the three reasons typically are due to not having a lack of meaning, identity, and purpose. So those three are typically deep-seated within poor mental health and the reasons for it leading on to depression. So especially when you're talking about veterans transitioning from the military into society, we lose our meaning, identity, and our purpose very quickly as soon as the gates close. It doesn't usually hit us for a couple of years, you know, year to 2 year. On average, it's around about the 2 year point when, as individuals, we start questioning, who am I as a person? I'm not here to stack shelves. That's not what I was about. 15 years in the army, 20 years in the Navy, 30 years in the RAF, whatever. And now I'm stacking shelves. That's not my purpose. That's not what I'm meant to be doing in this world. So what are you meant to be doing in this world? You know, where is your place? And a lot of the time you'll find that it's deep-seated within your passion, whatever your passion is. And usually when you talk about going into business is trying to find a way of monetizing your passion, because when you do that, then it's not like working. However, that's so much easier said than actually achieved. So be honest with yourselves. It's too easy to lie to ourselves. Try to be honest with ourselves, accept the truth, and work on being aware of who you are. This also helps with leadership skills, management skills, and obviously, as I'm saying, about your overall well-being.